The alien medical lab was quiet. Too quiet. Dr. Zex stood alone in the dark room. His 6 fingers moved across the glowing screen. His large black eyes stared at something that should not exist. "This cannot be real," he whispered to himself. On the screen, a drop of human blood moved under the microscope. But it was not normal. The red cells were doing something impossible. They were healing themselves. They were fighting back. They were alive. Zex had studied biology for 40 years. He knew every species in the galaxy. He had seen blood from 1,000 different aliens. But nothing like this. Never like this. His hands started shaking. 3 days ago the Galactic Council had captured a human. Just one human. A male from a planet called Earth. The Council wanted to study him. They wanted to understand why humans were so different. So dangerous. At first, Zex thought it was a joke. Humans looked weak. They had no fur to keep them warm. No thick skin to protect them. No claws or sharp teeth. They were soft. Big. Helpless. "They are nothing special," the council leader had said. "Just another weak species." But now, looking at this blood sample, Zex knew the truth. The council was wrong. Very, very wrong. He zoomed in closer on the screen. The human cells were doing something he had never seen before. When one cell was damaged, the other cells rushed to help it. They worked together. They fixed the damage. They made the cell strong again. "Impossible," Zex said again. His voice cracked with fear. In all his years of study, he had never seen cells work like this. Alien cells died when damaged. They just stopped working. But human cells? They fought to survive. They refused to die. Zex pressed a button. A new image appeared on the screen. This was a sample of human muscle tissue. He had cut a tiny piece from the human's arm yesterday. Just a small cut. Nothing serious. But when he looked at the sample today, it had already started to heal. In less than 24 hours, the tissue was repairing itself. New cells were growing. The wound was closing. By the stars. Zex stepped back from the screen. He thought about his own species. If he cut his arm, it would take weeks to heal. He would need medicine. Special treatment. Rest. But this human? His body was fixing itself. Automatically. Without any help. Zex walked to the other side of the lab. There was a large glass window there. Behind the glass was a room. A cell. And inside that cell was the human. The human was sitting on the floor. His eyes were closed. He looked calm. Peaceful. Like he was sleeping. But Zex knew better now. That human was not helpless. His body was a machine. A perfect machine that never stopped working. Even while sleeping, his cells were fighting. Protecting. Repairing. Zex looked at the small bandage on the human's arm. That was where he had taken the tissue sample yesterday. The human had not even cried out when Zex cut him. He had just looked at Zex and smiled. Smiled. What kind of creature smiles when you cut them? Zex whispered to the empty room. He turned back to his computer. He opened a new file. This file contained information about human history. Information that Earth had shared with the Galactic Council years ago. Zex started reading. And with every sentence, his fear grew bigger. Humans had survived ice ages. Times when their whole planet was covered in ice and snow. Most species would have died. But humans? They made fire. They made clothes. They survived. Humans had survived diseases. Terrible plagues that killed millions. But the ones who lived? Their bodies learned. They became stronger. They became immune. Humans had survived wars. They fought each other for thousands of years. They created weapons. They destroyed cities. But they never stopped. They never gave up. They just kept growing. Kept spreading. Kept surviving. They should have died 100 times, Zex said softly. But they didn't. Suddenly, red lights started flashing in the lab. An alarm began to beep. Loud. Urgent. Zex jumped. His tablet fell from his hands and crashed on the floor. A voice came through the speakers. It was Commander Vok, head of the security team. Dr. Zex. Come in, Dr. Zex. Zex pressed the communication button with his shaking finger. Yes? What is wrong? Sir, you need to see this right now. What happened? There was a pause. Then the commander's voice came back. But this time it was different. Quieter. Scared. Sir. The human is waking up. Zex's blood turned cold. He looked at the glass window. The human was still sitting on the floor. But now his eyes were open. And he was looking directly at Zex. The human smiled. Why is human biology so terrifying? 800 words. Dr. Zex ran down the metal hallway. His heart was beating fast. Too fast. Behind him, 3 more scientists followed. Their faces showed the same fear that Zex felt inside. They reached the observation room. It was a large space with computers and screens everywhere. In the center was the big glass window. The window that looked into the human cell. Commander Vok was already there. He was a big alien with gray skin and 4 arms. He was the strongest warrior in their unit, but right now he looked nervous. "What is the situation?" Zex asked, trying to sound calm. Vok pointed at the glass. "See for yourself." Zex looked through the window. The human was standing now. He was stretching his arms, rolling his shoulders, like he just woke up from a nice sleep. But his eyes were watching everything, studying the room, looking for something. "He has been awake for 5 minutes, Vok said. "He has not spoken. He just watches." Dr. Zex felt a chill run down his spine. He turned to his team. "We need to talk. Now." They gathered around a table. Zex opened his tablet. His hands were still shaking, but he tried to control them. "Listen carefully," Zex began. "What I am about to tell you will sound crazy, but every word is true. I have tested it myself." The 3 scientists leaned forward, waiting. "This human, his biology breaks every rule we know." One scientist, a young female named Kira, spoke up. "What do you mean, doctor?" Zex pulled up images on the big screen. "Look at this. Human blood cells. When I damaged them in the lab, they repaired themselves. Alone. Without any medicine. Without any help from outside." The room went silent. That is impossible," another scientist said. His name was Drax. "All cells die when damaged. That is basic biology." "Not human cells," Zex said. He showed another image. "Look at this muscle tissue. I cut a sample from his arm yesterday at 1400 hours. This image is from today. 24 hours later. The tissue has already started healing." Kira's mouth opened in shock. "But our tissue takes weeks to heal. Sometimes months." "Exactly," Zex said. His voice was getting louder now. More urgent. "And that is not all. Their bodies have something called an immune system. It is like an army inside them. An army that fights diseases, fights infections, fights anything that tries to hurt them." "An army? Inside their body?" Drax asked. "Yes. And this army never sleeps. It works every second of every day. Even when the human is sleeping, his body is fighting. Protecting. Always protecting." Commander Vok crossed his 4 arms. "So what you are saying is, we cannot hurt them?" "I am saying it is very, very difficult," Zex answered. "Their bodies are designed to survive. Everything about them is built for survival." Suddenly, Kira pointed at the glass window. "Doctor, look at his arm." Everyone turned. The human had removed the bandage from his arm. The place where Zex had cut him yesterday. The place where he took the tissue sample. The wound was almost gone. Only a thin pink line remained on the skin. In just 1 day the cut had healed. The skin had closed. New tissue had grown. "Impossible," Drax whispered. "No," Zex said quietly. "Not impossible. Just human." The human in the cell looked at his arm. He touched the pink line with his finger. Then he looked up. Straight at the glass. Straight at them. He knew they were watching. Zex pressed a button. A speaker turned on. Now they could hear inside the cell. The human spoke. His voice was calm. Too calm. "I know you can hear me." No one answered. They just stared. The human smiled. Not a happy smile. A knowing smile. "You took my blood. You cut my arm. You are studying me." Zex's hand moved to the microphone button. But he stopped. What could he say? "That is okay," the human continued. "I understand. You are scared. You want to know what makes me different." He walked closer to the glass. His eyes looked directly at Zex. "But here is what you need to understand. What you saw. The healing? The cells fighting? That is just the beginning." The human raised his hand. He made a fist. The muscles in his arm tensed. Even through the glass they could see the strength there. "My body can do things you have never imagined. Things that will terrify you. Things that break all your rules about biology." He lowered his hand. The smile grew bigger. "You think you have learned about humans by cutting me? By studying my blood?" The human laughed. It was not a cruel laugh. It was almost sad. "You have not seen anything yet." Then he turned around. He walked back to the corner of the cell. He sat down on the floor, closed his eyes, and became still, like he was going back to sleep. But Zex knew better now. That human was not sleeping. He was waiting, planning, thinking. And somewhere inside that body, billions of cells were working. Fighting. Protecting. Always protecting. The next morning, the council room was filled with worried aliens. 12 species sat around a long table. They all wanted answers. They all wanted to understand the human. Dr. Zek stood at the front. His presentation glowed on the screen behind him. "We need to know his limits," said Council Leader Thrawn. He was old and wise. His blue skin had wrinkles from many years of life. "Every creature has a weakness. We must find the human's weakness." "I agree," said another council member. "We should test him with toxins. Poison. Every species has chemicals that can stop them." Zex nodded slowly. "We can try. But I warn you, I do not think it will work." "We must try anyway," Thrawn said firmly. 2 hours later, Zex stood in the lab again. This time he was not alone. Commander Vok was with him. So was Kira. They all wore protective suits. Thick gloves. Face masks. On the table in front of them sat 3 bottles. Each bottle contained a different poison. The first bottle had a green liquid. This poison killed most aliens in seconds. It stopped the heart immediately. The second bottle had a clear liquid. This one destroyed the nervous system. It caused terrible pain before death. The third bottle had a yellow liquid. This was the strongest. 1 drop could kill 50 aliens. "Are you sure about this?" Kira asked. Her voice shook with fear. "No," Zex answered honestly. "But the council wants answers. We will start with the weakest poison first." They brought the human into the testing room. His hands were not tied. He walked freely, like he was going for a walk in the park. The human sat down in a chair. He looked at the 3 bottles on the table. Then he looked at Zex. "Let me guess," the human said. "Poison test." Zex was surprised. "How did you know?" The human shrugged. "It is what I would do. You want to find my limits? See what can hurt me." "Smart." Zex picked up the first bottle. The green liquid. He poured a small amount into a glass. His hands were shaking so much that some liquid spilled on the table. "This chemical is toxic," Zex explained. "It will cause pain. Maybe death. Do you understand?" The human looked at the glass. Then he smiled. "You want me to drink poison?" "Yes. For science. For understanding." The human reached for the glass. Everyone stepped back. Vok's hand moved to his weapon. The human lifted the glass to his nose. He smelled it. His face wrinkled. "Smells like cheap vodka." "Vodka?" Zex asked. He did not know that word. The human did not answer. He just drank the poison. All of it. In one gulp. Zex's eyes went wide. Kira gasped. Vok raised his weapon. They waited. 5 seconds. 10 seconds. 20 seconds. The human put the empty glass down on the table. He wiped his mouth with his hand. "Well," he asked. "Is something supposed to happen?" You should be dying," Zex whispered. The human laughed. Actually laughed. "This? You call this poison? My people drink stronger stuff every Friday night." "What?" Zex could not believe what he was hearing. The human leaned back in his chair. He looked relaxed. Comfortable. "On Earth we have something called alcohol. Ethanol. It is technically a poison. But we drink it for fun. For parties. For celebrations." The room was completely silent. "You drink poison? For fun?" Kira asked slowly. "Yes. We have done it for thousands of years." "Wine. Beer. Whiskey. Vodka." The human pointed at the empty glass. "That stuff you just gave me? Weaker than most drinks in my world." Zex felt dizzy. This could not be real. But the human was sitting there. Alive. Smiling. Healthy. "Perhaps we need a stronger test," Vok said. He picked up the second bottle. The clear liquid. "Wait," Zex started to say. But Vok had already poured it into another glass. The human took this glass too. He drank it faster than the first one. Again they waited. Again nothing happened. "Tastes like battery acid," the human said. "Actually, fun fact about humans. We have acid in our stomachs. Hydrochloric acid. Strong enough to dissolve metal. We use it to digest food." "You have acid inside you?" Kira's voice was barely a whisper. "Yes. Right here." The human tapped his stomach. "Every human has it. Our bodies make it every day. It helps us break down food. Even tough food. Meat. Bones. Plants. We can eat almost anything." Drax, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. "You eat bones?" "Some cultures do, yes. We also eat plants that burn. Chili peppers. They cause pain in most creatures. But we love them. We add them to food on purpose." You eat pain? Vok could not hide his shock. We do not call it pain. We call it spicy. Delicious. The human looked at the third bottle. The yellow liquid. The strongest poison. Are you going to make me drink that one too? He asked. Zex quickly grabbed the bottle. No. No more. This is too dangerous. Dangerous for who? The human smiled again. I am feeling fine. Actually, I'm feeling great. You have any food? I'm getting hungry. The human stood up from the chair. Vok immediately pointed his weapon at him. Sit down. Vok ordered. The human ignored him. He walked to the table where all the bottles were. He picked up the third bottle. The yellow liquid. No. Zex shouted. That will kill you. The human opened the bottle. He poured some into a new glass. Everyone in the room backed away. The human lifted the glass. Stop. Zex begged. But the human drank it anyway. He drank the poison that could kill 50 aliens. He drank it all. Then he put the glass down and looked at them. Now, the human said calmly, can I please have some real food? These drinks are terrible. Then he walked back to his chair and sat down, waiting, like nothing had happened. Zex stared at him. His mind could not process what he had just seen. The human was not dying. He was not even sick. He was just hungry. What are you? Zex whispered. The human heard him. He looked directly at Zex, and for the first time his smile disappeared. I am human, he said quietly, and you are just starting to understand what that means. Dr. Zex had not slept in 2 days. His eyes were red and tired, but he could not stop thinking about the poison test. The human had drunk 3 deadly toxins, and nothing happened. Nothing. Now the council wanted more tests. They wanted to understand pain. How much pain could a human feel? How much could he take before he stopped? Every creature feels pain, council leader Thrawn had said that morning. Pain is nature's warning system. It tells the body to stop, to rest, to heal. We will test the human's pain limits. Zex did not like this idea, but he had no choice. The council had decided. In the testing room they set up new equipment. A pain simulator. It sent small electric shocks to the body. Most aliens could not handle level 3. Level 5 made them scream. Level 7 made them pass out. The machine went up to level 10. But no one had ever tested level 10. It was too dangerous. The human walked into the room. He looked at the machine. Then he looked at Zex. More tests, the human asked. Yes, Zex said quietly. We need to test your pain response. It will hurt. I am sorry. The human sat down. Zex attached small metal patches to the human's arm. These patches would deliver the electric shocks. We will start at level 1, Zex explained. Tell me when it becomes too painful. We will stop immediately. The human nodded. Okay. I am ready. Zex pressed the button. Level 1. A small shock went through the patches. The human did not move. Did not make a sound. Did you feel that? Zex asked. Yes. It tickled a little. Tickled? Zex was confused. Level 1 made most aliens very uncomfortable. But this human said it tickled? Level 2, Zex said. He pressed the button again. The human blinked. That was all. Just a blink. Still nothing? Zex asked. I felt it. But it is not painful. Just strange. Kira, who was watching the computer screen, spoke up. Doctor, his heart rate has not changed. His breathing is normal. No stress response at all. Zex moved to level 3. This level made his own species cry out in pain. The human frowned slightly. Okay, that one I felt. Does it hurt? Zex asked. A little. Like when you touch something hot. Uncomfortable, but not terrible. Zex looked at Commander Vok. Vok nodded. They both knew what this meant. The human's pain tolerance was much higher than theirs. Level 5, Zex said. His finger hovered over the button. Are you sure you want to continue? Yes. Let's see what this machine can do. Zex pressed the button. Level 5. The shock was strong. Very strong. The human's jaw tightened. His muscles tensed. But he did not scream. He just breathed harder. That hurt, the human said. His voice was calm. Too calm. But I can handle it. Kira stared at her screen. Doctor. His body is releasing something. A chemical. I have never seen it before. Zex looked at the data. There was a strange hormone flooding the human's blood. It was spreading fast. Through his whole body. What is that? Zex asked the human. The human smiled. A painful smile. Adrenaline. My body makes it when I am hurt or scared. It helps me fight. Makes me stronger. Stronger? When you are hurt. Vok could not believe it. Yes. It is a survival mechanism. When humans are in danger, our bodies give us extra power. Extra speed. We feel less pain. We can do things we normally cannot do. Zex's hands started shaking again. You become stronger when you are hurt? Correct. There are stories on Earth of humans lifting cars to save their children. Humans running on broken legs to escape danger. Humans fighting even with terrible wounds. The room went silent. This was worse than the poison. Much worse. An alien who feels pain will stop fighting. They will rest. They will heal. But a human? A human becomes more dangerous when hurt? Level 7, Vok said suddenly. His voice was hard. I want to see this for myself. Commander, that is not safe, Zex warned. Do it. Zex pressed the button. Level 7. The highest level anyone had ever tested. The shock hit the human hard. His whole body tensed. His teeth clenched. His hands gripped the chair so hard that the metal bent. But he did not scream. He did not cry. He just held on. 10 seconds passed. 20 seconds. 30 seconds. Finally, Zex turned off the machine. The human slumped in the chair, breathing hard. Sweat covered his face. That was intense, the human said between breaths. But I survived. Kira checked her screen. Her face went pale. Doctor. His adrenaline levels are 3 times higher now. His heart is pumping faster. His muscles are getting more oxygen. He is in combat mode. Combat mode? Zex asked. The human stood up from the chair. The metal patches fell off his arm. He rolled his shoulders, stretched his neck. On Earth we have a saying, the human said. His eyes looked different now. Sharper. Harder. What does not kill you makes you stronger. He walked to the mirror on the wall. He looked at himself. At the red marks on his arm where the patches had been. You wanted to find my limits. You wanted to see how much pain I can take. The human turned around. He looked at all of them. But here is what you do not understand. Pain does not stop humans. It wakes us up. Vok stepped forward. Even humans must have limits. Everyone breaks eventually. The human smiled. But it was not a friendly smile. It was the smile of a predator. Maybe. But you do not want to find out where that limit is. He walked closer to Vok. The commander was bigger, stronger, had 4 arms and weapons. But he took a step back. Do you know what scares me about this situation? The human asked quietly. It is not the test, not the pain, not even being locked in this place. Then what? Zex whispered. The human looked at the ceiling, at the cameras, at the doors. What scares me is that my people know I am here. They know you took me. And they are looking for me right now. The human walked back to his chair and sat down. Calm again. Like nothing had happened. And when they find me, and they will find me, you will learn something new about humans. What is that? Vok asked. The human closed his eyes. You will learn that one human is dangerous. But humans together? Humans protecting each other? He opened his eyes. Looked straight at them. That is unstoppable. The council emergency meeting started at midnight. All 12 members were there. Their faces showed fear, confusion, and something worse. Something they had never felt before. Doubt. We need to talk about Earth, council leader Thrawn said. His old voice sounded tired. Very tired. We need to talk about human history. Dr. Zex stood up. He connected his tablet to the large screen. Files appeared. Documents. Videos. Records from Earth's past. I have spent the last 20 hours studying everything we know about humans, Zex began. What I found, it explains everything. And it terrifies me. He pressed a button. An image appeared. It showed Earth covered in ice and snow. Frozen. Dead. 20,000 years ago, Earth went through an ice age. The temperature dropped so low that most life died. Oceans froze. Plants disappeared. Food became impossible to find. The council members leaned forward. Most species would have gone extinct, Zex continued. But humans? They survived. They made fire to stay warm. They made clothes from animal skin. They hunted in the freezing cold. They did not just survive. They spread. They grew stronger. Another image appeared. This one showed sick people. Villages burning. Bodies everywhere. Throughout human history, terrible diseases killed millions of them. The Black Plague, smallpox, influenza. These diseases should have ended humanity. But they did not, Council Member Raya said quietly. No, they did not. Zex changed the image again. The humans who survived these diseases? Their bodies learned. They became immune. They passed this immunity to their children. Each generation became harder to kill. Commander Vok crossed his forearms. So they adapt. Many species adapt. Not like this, Zek said. He pulled up another file. Let me show you something else. Something called persistence hunting. A video started playing. It showed a human running across a hot desert. He was chasing an animal. A fast animal with 4 legs. That animal is faster than the human, Zex explained. Much faster. In a short race the human would lose. But watch. The video continued. The animal ran. Stopped to rest. Ran again. Stopped again. But the human? The human never stopped. He just kept running. Slowly. Steadily. Never stopping. What is he doing? Raya asked. He is waiting for the animal to die from exhaustion, Zex answered. His voice was dark. Humans can run for hours. Days even. They do not stop. They do not give up. They just keep going until their prey collapses. The video showed the end. The animal fell to the ground. Too tired to move. Too tired to run anymore. The human walked up to it calmly. The council room was completely silent. They hunt by not stopping, Kira whispered. That is horrible. That is human, Zex said. On Earth they call themselves persistence predators. They do not need to be fast. They do not need to be strong. They just need to never give up. He changed the image again. This time it showed different places. A frozen mountain. A burning desert. A thick jungle. Deep underwater. Humans live everywhere on Earth. In ice. In heat. In water. On mountains. In caves. No other species on Earth can do this. But humans? They adapt to everything. How? Thrawn asked. How is this possible? Zex pulled up more data. Their bodies change based on where they live. Humans in cold places develop thicker blood. Humans in high mountains develop bigger lungs. Humans in hot deserts need less water. They adapt in 1 or 2 generations. He paused. Let that sink in. And there is more. They also adapt mentally. They learn. They remember. They teach their children. Every generation of humans is smarter than the last. Another council member spoke. His name was Zorn. He was a military strategist. What about war? Surely they fight each other? Oh yes, Zek said darkly. Humans have been fighting wars for 10,000 years. They have killed billions of their own kind. Then they will destroy themselves eventually, Zorn said with relief. No. Zek shook his head. That is what makes them truly terrifying. They fight wars. Terrible wars. But they never go extinct. They just learn from each war. They build better weapons. Better strategies. Better defenses. Each war makes them stronger. The screen showed images of human weapons. From simple stones to advanced technology. From swords to missiles. They went from throwing rocks to splitting atoms in just 10,000 years, Zek said. They learn faster than any species we have ever seen. Thrawn stood up. His face was serious. So what are you saying, Doctor? That we cannot defeat them? I am saying we should never have captured one of them. Zex's voice was firm. Strong. Every test we do just proves how dangerous they are. The poison test? Failed. The pain test? Failed. They survive everything. There must be a weakness, Vok insisted. Everyone has a weakness. Zex was about to answer when an alarm went off. Red lights flashed throughout the council chamber. A security officer ran into the room. His face was covered in sweat. What is happening? Thrawn demanded. The officer was breathing hard. Sir, we have a problem. A big problem. Speak. The human. The one we captured. He has been awake this whole time. He heard everything we said. Every test. Every conversation. So what? Vok asked. He is locked in a cell. The officer shook his head. Sir, he has been counting. Counting our patrol times. Counting how many guards we have. Counting everything. He has been studying us. The room went cold. And there is more, the officer continued. His voice was shaking now. We detected a signal. Coming from inside the human cell. He has been sending messages. Messages? To who? Zex asked. The officer pulled up a screen. It showed space. The empty space around their station. But it was not empty anymore. There were ships. 5 human ships. Coming towards them. Fast. To them, the officer whispered. He has been calling for help this whole time. And they are coming. Thrawn stood frozen. How long until they arrive? 2 hours, sir. Maybe less. The council room erupted in panic. Everyone started talking at once. Shouting. Planning. Worrying. But Zex just sat down. His legs felt weak. His mind was racing. One human had done this. One human had survived their tests. Studied them. Sent messages. Called for rescue. And now more were coming. 5 ships full of humans. Zex remembered what the human had said during the pain test. One human is dangerous. But humans together? That is unstoppable. He had thought it was just words. A threat. But now he understood. It was a promise. The 2 hours felt like 2 minutes. Dr. Zex stood in the control room with the entire council. Everyone watched the screens. The 5 human ships were getting closer. Very close. Should we attack? Commander Vok asked. His 4 hands were on his weapons. No, Thrawn said quietly. We do not know what weapons they have. We do not know what they can do. So we just wait? Vok looked frustrated. We wait, Thrawn confirmed. Suddenly all the screens went black. Every computer. Every light. Everything shut down. What happened? Someone shouted in the darkness. Emergency lights turned on. Red lights. Making everything look like blood. Then the screens came back on. But they were different now. All the screens showed the same thing. A human face. A female human with short dark hair and cold eyes. Greetings, the human woman said. Her voice was calm but dangerous. I am Captain Sarah Chin of the Earth Defense Fleet. You have something that belongs to us. Thrawn stepped forward. We mean no harm. We were simply studying. You kidnapped one of our people, Captain Chin interrupted. You cut him. Poisoned him. Hurt him. You call that study? We call that an act of war. The room went silent. However, the captain continued, we are willing to negotiate. Release our man. Now. And we will leave peacefully. And if we refuse? Vok asked. Captain Chin smiled. It was not a nice smile. Then you will learn why humans are apex predators. Thrawn looked at Zex. Zex nodded. They had no choice. Bring the human here, Thrawn ordered. 5 minutes later, guards brought the human to the control room. His hands were tied behind his back. But he was smiling. Actually smiling. When he saw the screens, saw Captain Chin, his smile grew bigger. Took you long enough, Captain, the human said casually. Sorry, Lieutenant Marcus. Traffic was terrible, Captain Chin replied. They both laughed. Lieutenant? Zex's mind raced. This human was a soldier? A trained military officer? They had captured a warrior and did not even know it? Release him, Thrawn ordered. The guards cut the ties on Marcus's hands. He rubbed his wrists and walked to stand in front of the council. Before I go, Marcus said, I want to thank you. Thank us. Zex was confused. Yes. You taught me so much about your species. Your patrol patterns. Your security codes. Your weapon systems. Your biology. Marcus counted on his fingers. I have been awake for 3 days straight. Watching. Learning. Recording everything. 3 days without sleep? Kira whispered. Impossible. Not for humans, Marcus said. We can stay awake for days when needed. Our bodies just keep going. And the whole time, I was sending data back to my ship. Every conversation. Every test. Every weakness. Zex felt sick. They had been studying the human. But the human had been studying them too. And he was better at it. You made one critical mistake, Marcus continued. His voice was serious now. You thought capturing one human was safe. You thought you could study me alone and understand us. You walked to the window. Pointed at the 5 ships outside. But humans are never alone. We are pack animals. Social creatures. When you take one of us, the others come looking. Always. We never abandon our own. Captain Chen's voice came through the speakers again. Lieutenant Marcus demonstrated something important during his time with you. He showed you individual human abilities. The healing. The pain tolerance. The poison resistance. But there is something more dangerous than one human, Marcus said. What? Thrawn asked quietly. Marcus turned around. His eyes were hard like steel. Humans working together. Humans protecting each other. Humans who refused to leave anyone behind. The screens changed. They showed images. Human history. Humans helping each other in wars. In disasters. In danger. Always together. Always protecting. Always fighting for each other. You see, Marcus explained, individual human biology is impressive. We heal fast. We survive poison. We ignore pain. But our real strength? Our real power? He pointed at the 5 ships. Our real power is that we work as one. 5 ships came for 1 man. 500 would have come if needed. 5,000. 5 million. It does not matter. We do not leave our people behind. Captain Chin spoke again. We have uploaded a file to your systems. It contains everything you need to know about humanity. Read it, learn from it, and remember this day. Remember what? Fok asked. Remember that humans can be your friends. We can trade. We can share knowledge. We can live in peace, Marcus said. Then his voice dropped, became cold. But if you ever threaten one of us again, you will face all of us. A bright light appeared. A teleport beam. Marcus started to disappear. One more thing, he said as he faded away. Thank you for the tests. You helped me break my old pain tolerance record. My teammates are going to be so jealous. Then he was gone. The 5 human ships turned around, slowly, like predators that had found their prey but decided not to attack. Not this time. Captain Chen's face appeared one last time. You wondered what is wrong with human biology. The answer is simple. Nothing is wrong with it. It is perfect. Perfect for survival. Perfect for adaptation. Perfect for war. And perfect for protecting each other. The screens went black. The human ships left. Disappeared into space. The control room was silent for a long time. Finally Zek spoke. His voice was barely a whisper. We made a terrible mistake. What mistake? Thrawn asked. Zex looked at him. We thought humans were weak because they looked soft. Because they had no claws. No thick skin. No natural weapons. And we were wrong. Humans do not need claws. They make weapons. They do not need thick skin. They make armor. They do not need to be strong alone. Zex walked to the window. Looked at the empty space where the human ships had been. Because they are strong together. And that makes them the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Thrawn sat down in his chair. He suddenly looked very old. Very tired. Send a message to all council worlds, he ordered. Tell them about today. Tell them about humans. Tell them we made first contact. What should we tell them? Someone asked. Thrawn closed his eyes. Tell them the truth. Tell them that humans can be friends or enemies. And tell them to choose friendship. Because we do not want humans as enemies. Never again.